Yo, 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 school in the building. What's happening? Back for another episode of SGP. And as you can see, I'm doing something different this go round. I'm hitting y'all with a top 10 list. You hear me? Top 10 film and TV debuts. It's very special to me because it's award season right now, and I'm kind of salty that Fantasia didn't get nominated. And this is her first like major debut, and she did a hell of a job with The Color Purple. So that snub made me think about, damn, how many other people have great debuts, and did they get recognized? Some of them did. Far as the culture, we recognize ours usually because it's so far and in between when we get a major film. So it makes sense. But man, this list is going to be super great, super cool. But before I get started, let me send a special shout out to my dogette, Rich and Ray. Man, I love y'all so much. They from the Culture Garden. Those are my co-hosts. Also, they do their own thing for TV called We Got Y'all. That's super dope. So check that out. And then I want to send a super special shout out to Mo and Spike from Another Week in the Books and the Good Earners podcast, which also features Rich. So, shout out to Rich again, the hardest working nigga in podcasting. um, so let's get started on this top 10 list. Number 10. Raven-Symoné. Raven-Symoné played a character named Olivia Kendall on The Cosby Show. Season 6, episode 1 is when she made her debut, and she killed it. Critics, everyone fell in love with Olivia Kendall. One of her greatest attributes, to be 5 or 6 years old, was her comedic timing. Her comedic timing was amazing, specifically to be in the same room as Bill Cosby and to have him cracking. There's bloopers of her just killing it, and Bill can't even keep a straight face, which is amazing to me. If you've seen our It Takes Two episode, we talked a lot about how big Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen were, but right behind them is definitely Raven-Symoné. After this show, after the Cosby Show ended, after 3 seasons of her being on the show, she did Hanging with Mr. Cooper with Mark Curry. She kind of saved that show too. She got 4 seasons out of that show. And then around 15, man, and you know where I'm about to go with this, she got That's So Raven in the future I can see. She got that. And she became super, super famous, super big. I mean, she was already famous, but amongst us, she took it to another level. Shout out to my little sister, man. She loved the Cheetah Girls. I don't know everything about that, but I know Raven-Symoné was in that, and that was a group slash TV show and a movie, and that was really big. So, man, shout out to Raven-Symoné, man. She killed it. She killed it. Super dope. Another thing I want to do is let you know where you can find these performances. So if you're looking to see, Raven-Symoné, aka Olivia Kendall, you can find that on Amazon Prime. You would have to spend some money, but hey, it's worth it, I promise. So let's get into number 9. Number 9 is Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber from Die Hard. Uh, Alan Rickman is a well-known actor, super dope, super sophisticated, but this is his debut, and he changed antagonists forever with his role as Hans Gruber. He was sophisticated, smart, swaggy, and slow. And what I mean by slow is patient. You know, in the 80s, an antagonist was very rah rah and jumping down your throat, and every other scene he's doing something, making an action happen. But he was very patient and strategic as Hans Gruber. And one of the best things about him was he had already, had a background in theater. So he had already won a couple Tony Awards, And the crazy part is he started his acting career late. He didn't become an actor until he was 26. He had already graduated college and started his own graphic design business. And then something clicked for him. He went back to school for acting and was like, yo, I like this little graphic design thing, but something is itching. I got to get this out my system. And he did just that. He had come off a couple of Tony Awards, um, and auditioned for Die Hard, and he got the role. And as they say, the rest is history, man. This guy has been nominated for a couple Oscars. He's won a couple of Emmys, and our generation would know him. If you've never seen Die Hard, you would know him as Professor Snape from Harry Potter. Uh, Man, shout out to Alan Rickman, a fucking legend. We lost him in 2016, but god damn it, we gonna give him his flowers on SGP, and that's a fact. Now, if you're looking to watch Die Hard, again, you got to spend a couple of dollars, but it's well worth it for sure. So let's get into number 8. Number 8, man, is a current star. He's moving right along. Damson Idris. Damson Idris, man. Damson Idris. I keep saying his name because he's I still feel like he has levels to grow, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just think that in a couple years, man, he's going to win that Oscar. He's that talented. But of course, he is known for playing Franklin Saint on Snowfall. I'm very hesitant to speak because his performance, especially this last season, he should have won an Emmy. This last season was phenomenal, and I mean every episode. The last 2 episodes specifically took my breath away. Like, this dude was killing it. And if you know the show, there's some dope ass actors and actresses on this show, and he held his own, especially being from overseas. He is not from America, if you don't know that. But he embodied that LA, that swag, that what am I looking for here? That language, the walk, just everything about his character is exactly what I pictured the 80s LA gang member, drug dealer to be. He didn't miss a beat. And shout out to John Singleton, who ironically put him through a lot of tests before he gave him that role. And one of those tests was walking through Compton, USA, and that's not an easy thing to do. But this British man, black man, walked through and survived. So much so that John Singleton said, "All right, man, you get the role. You get the role." So if you're looking to watch Snowfall, it is on Hulu. So don't hesitate. Press play on Snowfall, and you will be blown away about how good this guy is. You'll say to yourself, "He's from where?" Nah, I don't believe you. Google it. Now, let's get into number 7. Number 7 on my list is Tupac Shakur. Man, man, oh man. Tupac Shakur made his film debut in the cultural classic Juice. He played Bishop. Man, listen, I don't want to get into too much into depth about his acting. And listen, Tupac went to Baltimore's performing arts school, obviously with Jada Pickett, and I know you know that because everybody know that she still love that nigga, like most people do, but not like how she do. Anyway, but the reason I say I'm not going to get into depth into it is because um, on the other show, on my other podcast that I have with Rich and Ray, it's called The Culture Garden. Check it out. We have a Juice episode where we break down how good Tupac is, or excuse me, is in the movie, or was, however you want to put it, past tense. It's one of those things that it breaks my heart, man, because Tupac died at a young age. He was 25, and he had so much in store for us. By now at this age, I believe Tupac would have won maybe 2 Oscars, a couple Golden Globes, an Emmy, something, because this dude was ridiculously talented. Obviously, he was a rapper, but I think we all can agree that his number one passion was acting. He was a thespian. You hear me? You look into the background of Tupac, and you hear it all the time about him making changes on the set because he's like, yo, this person wouldn't do that. Or I'm so into this character that I feel as this character that I wouldn't do that if I was him. You know what I mean? Like this guy did it, man. So shout out to Tupac, man. He did his thing. Now, if you looking to watch Juice, it is on Max. Okay, go to Max right now and watch it because that shit it's mind blowing. So before I get into, excuse me, I'm about to get into number 6 on the list, which is Lorenz Tate. Lorenz Tate as O-Dog in Menace to Society. Yes, that is his debut, and he killed it. He killed it. It's that simple. I'm going to get into further detail, but I will say this much. Go to the Culture Garden again and check us out. We have a Menace to Society episode where we dig into Lorenz Tate as O-Dog. I mean, he steals the show easily in this movie, and he's playing a 15-year-old killer. I mean, there is not an actor that you can name me that could have played O-Dog. And I feel the same way about Bishop. There's not an actor you could have told me or named me that could have played Bishop. So with that being said, shout out to Lorenz Tate. He killed it. He did his thing. And we all know him from so much more. His levels, as they say, there's levels to this shit. And Lorenz Tate has them all. He's played a lover, he's played a fighter, he's played a crook, he's played, you name it, he's played it and played it well. The fact that he doesn't have an Emmy or Golden Globe is crazy. Crazy. I go as far, and I talk about it on the episode of the Culture Garden of Menace Society. I wouldn't be mad if he was nominated for an Oscar that year. But early 90s, they definitely wasn't giving us no Oscar nom. That's not happening, especially not a character like O-Dog. So shout out to Lorenz Tate, man. Number 6 on this list. So if you want to watch Menace to Society, you got to check it out on Paramount Plus or Showtime. Paramount Plus or Showtime. Now, let's get into number 5 on this list. Number 5 is the great comedic actor, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy made his debut in 1982 in the film 48 Hours with Nick Nolte. And let me just give you the warning right now. This movie is super racist. Nick Nolte's character is super racist. Like it's unbelievably racist. Like, my God, they was letting this shit go on. But I mean, that's how it was in the 80s, man, especially the early 80s. But Eddie held his own. He did his thing. He played a character named Reggie Hammond. And it's crazy that that's his debut, because I always thought Trading Places was. But anyway, Eddie Murphy started on SNL at 19 years old, and not only was he a comedic actor on the show, he was a writer, which is hard to do. I've done a deep dive into Saturday Night Live, and a lot of the actors don't get into the writers' room. So for Eddie to be a young kid and to get in the writers' room and to get skits every Saturday, not to go too far into it, but it's a famous story of Larry David, who was a writer. He created Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld, and there's a famous story of him quitting because every time he wrote a skit, they acted as though they liked it, and then it kept getting cut. So that's what I'm saying. A comedic genius like Larry David, uh, shit wasn't making the cut. But you got this 19-year-old kid, Eddie Murphy, who's killing the game. And Eddie Murphy is probably, outside of Michael Jackson, the biggest superstar of the 80s. Think about what I'm telling you. Michael Jackson obviously was number one in the 80s, but his number two was Eddie fucking Murphy. This movie set his this movie and SNL set his career on a crazy path. So much so that our generation knows him, and the generation prior and the generation after will know who Eddie Murphy is, because he is so fucking great, man. He also has one of the greatest Oscar snubs in history to me. Um, he was nominated for Dreamgirls in 2005, and he did not win thanks to the movie Norbit, which is, to me, a classic. I don't know if it'll be on the Culture Garden or SGP, but it's gonna be on one of them two motherfuckers, and I'll deep dive a little bit more into it. But the media and the critics take Oscar month, week, they take that shit super serious. And Eddie Murphy released Norbit during his Oscar run. When he was supposed to be promoting the Oscars, he was instead promoting Norbit. And the critics and the Oscar voters made him pay for that. They did not give him that Oscar. And I looked at it earlier, and there's no one that should have won that Oscar over Eddie Murphy. So shout out to Eddie Murphy for having the number five greatest actorial debut of all time, to me. So listen, we're in the top five. We're getting there. If you want to see Eddie Murphy in 48 hours, I don't know if I said this already, but it's on Paramount Plus, so check that out. So let's get into number four. Number four for me is Oprah Winfrey, man. Oprah Winfrey. So in 1985, Oprah Winfrey wasn't Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey was a local Chicago TV talk show host. She had a morning talk show, and she didn't know if that was it. You know, is this what life is? Is there more opportunities out there? And she found herself auditioning for a character named Sophia in The Color Purple, which obviously, if you don't know, it was a book prior to it being a famous movie. Um, but she tried out, she got the role, and she killed it. You know, Sophia to me is opposite of Oprah. You know, I don't know Oprah personally, not the biggest fan of her. You know, I'm a diehard Michael Jackson fan, and what she did to him as a dead man, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive that. But her role in The Color Purple is outstanding. You know, she played a gritty, strong black woman in a time period where strong black women, they existed, but they existed quietly. You know, they had to walk on eggshells. Well, Miss Sophia wasn't walking on no eggshells. You feel me? If you haven't seen the movie, check it out. She was nominated for an Oscar, a Golden Globe. Obviously, she's won lots of Emmys and awards for her talk show, which became nationally syndicated. But you know, her playing Sophia helped with that. You know, this movie, if you don't know, The Color Purple was the original one, was directed by Steven Spielberg, who was a blockbuster monster. You know, Jaws, E.T., Indiana Jones. That was his realm of movies, and he changed pace. And when he did that, he created uh, Oprah Winfrey, the actress, and man, she killed it. And when I watch The Color Purple, I watch it for two characters, and one of them is Sophia. So again, shout out to Oprah Winfrey. If you would like to watch her in this movie, you can watch it on Max. So yeah. So now that we got that on out the way, here we go with the top three. My top three. Yeah. So Number 3, Jennifer Hudson. Yes, Jennifer Hudson. Now, let me give you a little background real quick, uh, because it's necessary. Because she won for her character playing the character Effie White. Now, if you're not familiar, Dreamgirls is a famous Broadway play. It premiered in the 1981, and in doing so, it became one of the biggest Broadway shows of all time. Like it's Cats, it's Dreamgirls, and there's a few other, but those are usually the biggest two. Dreamgirls is amazing. The character she played, Effie White, was previously played by Jennifer Holliday, and Jennifer Holliday won the Tony Award for Best Actress. So there was a lot to live up to, you know, and for a young girl from Chicago with no acting experience, all she knew how to do was sing, and she demolished the role. You feel her pain when she tells that man, "You're not leaving me. You're not going nowhere." All of that. So much so that her debut, she won an Oscar. She's one of few to do that. And she's also one of few to have an EGOT. If you don't know what that is, that's an Emmy, Golden Globe, Oscar, and Tony. She is an EGOT winner. She delivered heavily in this movie. And, Jennifer Holliday passed the torch to her, and said it, said that I didn't think anyone could ever do what I did, but she did it on screen and maybe did it better. I'm that's me at the end of that. Maybe did it better. I don't know if Jennifer Holliday said that, but if you got time, man, look up on YouTube Jennifer Holliday and Jennifer Hudson singing this song side by side. I believe it might have been at the Tony Awards, but it was an award show where they sang this song together. And my goodness, man, you talking about some singing? Ain't no singing, nigga, some singing. It was church in that day. Why they went crazy. So I definitely want to give Jennifer Hudson her flowers. Right now, she has a talk show, and people been killing it and saying the talk show trash. I don't know. I don't watch the talk show, but I do know this much: she's an EGOT winner, and guess what else she is? A Oscar winner from her debut film. That's insane to me. Shout out to her, man. Now, if you're looking to watch Jennifer Hudson in Dreamgirls, check it out on Paramount Plus and Showtime. That's where you can find that. Also, do yourself a favor and go on YouTube or TikTok and look up Jennifer Holliday. You can see her performance as Effie White, and man, she blew it away as well, man. It's just a great performance. Now, we're going to top two, yeah, yeah, yeah. Number 2, for me, another EGOT winner, Whoopi Goldberg, man. Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple as Celie is amazing. Amazing. She embodied that role as Celie Johnson. A lot of people, for some reason in that movie, she's one of the only people that has a last name, which is crazy, but Celie Johnson. But yeah, Whoopi Goldberg in this movie, it rose her to stardom. She took off, as you usually do after a movie like The Color Purple. It's a time period piece. Again, like I said, when I watch this movie, I watch it for two characters, and Celie and Sophia are those two characters. Whoopi Goldberg held no punches as Celie. You know, she had to do a lot of things emotionally. There's a lot of scenes where there is no words. All you have is her emotions. They're on her face, You know, shout out to Rich. He loves a good facial expression actress or actor, and that's what she does in this movie. She definitely speaks. Don't get it twisted, but there's moments where there are no words. You know, you just see the pain in her eyes. You see it on her face, and she did the damn thing. She was nominated for an Oscar. She did not win, but the Oscars have a bad habit of giving you an Oscar later. And in 1990, she was in Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, and she won Best Supporting Actress in that, which was also another great role. You know, another great role. Um, but it wasn't better than The Color Purple. You know, obviously they was making up for that. She is an EGOT winner. I don't know if I said that, but I'm gonna say it again. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Shout out to Whoopi, man. She's a fucking legend. Over 200 acting credits. Like this lady is, she's the shit, man. I'm definitely a big fan of Whoopi Goldberg, and um, I love Jumpin' Jack Flash. That's a you might not know what that is, but it's definitely an SGP joint. It's just definitely gonna be on SGP. So shout out to Whoopi, number two. All right, we're almost to number one. But before we get to number one, I don't know if I said this. Check out The Color Purple on Max. I know I did with Oprah, but I'm saying it again. Check out Color Purple. It's on Max. Now, I wanna do some honorable mentions before I hit number one. So these three are my honorable mentions. Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor did 1001. She did that last year. It's on Amazon Prime. It's if you have Amazon Prime, you can check it out. Hell of a performance. So much so, she was nominated for a Black Reel Award. I want to say some other things, but you know, if you have a strong enough performance and it takes you up there, um, she has just been spotted, and this was last week. She was spotted on set with Regina Hall and Leonardo DiCaprio. Right? She's taken off, you know, and she's very talented. We already know she can sing her ass off, but I didn't know she can act until I saw 1001. And I mean, she did her thing. So much so that she's about to release a movie with the legend, Regina Hall and Leo DiCaprio. Come on, man. Shout out to Tiana Taylor. So, also, Omar Epps, man. Honorable mention to Omar, man. He's you know, he made his debut in Juice as well, you know, Tupac. So check that out. That's on Paramount Plus and Showtime. And also shout out to Cameron Diaz, man. Random, but yo, she made her debut in The Mask with Jim Carrey, which is, you know, you're gonna have to pay for that one. You're gonna have to pay for The Mask because I owned it, so I ain't gotta pay for it, but you probably do. But yeah, she made her premiere in that, and of course, we know where that role led her to. Plenty of roles like you know, There's Something About Mary, Charlie's Angels, and a few bad movies. But hey, that's what SGP for. So don't worry, Cameron, we got you over here. So, with that being said, shout out to those honorable mentions. Let's get into number one on my list. Lupita Nyong'o. Um, the talent that Lupita has is crazy good. Do you hear me? She is one of my favorite actresses ever. What she did in her debut in 12 Years a Slave as Patsy, it has to go down as history. Just like Jennifer Hudson, off of her first role in a major movie, she won an Oscar. Um, uh, and that's saying something. Especially, and I say that because she was in the movie with Achua Aju Atelefor. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not, but when the movie came out, he was also nominated. But everyone expected him, even before the movie was released, to run away with the Oscar. But what she did in that movie, that scene, And you know the scene, the pain, again, the facial acting, you know, it, it's tough to put into words how great this woman is. Um, and then for her to again for the culture come back in being Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, and she plays Nakia, and words can't express what she means to me personally, um, because it's tough, man. It's tough to be in Hollywood and to try to make it, you know. And this woman put on a show, and like I said, she's in there with Chiwetel Ejiofor, one of my favorite villains of all time, Victor Sweet. But yeah, like there's no words to express what she did in that movie. So check it out, man. 12 Years a Slave. It is on. I had my paper. It is on Hulu and Paramount Plus. So go check that out. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I'm hyping. If there's anyone on this list that you like, I don't know about that, bro. You might be hyping. Let me know. That's what social media is for. Hit me up on IG, Schoolboy120. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if I'm tripping. But I believe that this list is very accurate, and there's no one there. The crazy part is this top 10, even the honorable mentions. These people are making movies to this day. Now Oprah Winfrey is kind of like Dr. Dre. She drops something every 7 to 10 years. You know, but besides that, man, everyone on here is pretty active. So I'm definitely excited for the future, specifically for Teyana Taylor, and Lupita. She has a movie coming out. If you're a big fan of The Quiet Place, she's in the newest one that's coming out. I'm sure she'll be in the next Black Panther. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan are working on something. I'm sure she'll be in that. Like, this lady, she can be in anything. Lupita is just on a different level when it comes to this acting thing. So shout out to Lupita. Shout out to everyone I mentioned. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to you for sticking by me this far. What we got, about 34 minutes. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully, if you didn't, you'll tell me. If you did, you'll tell me. Whatever. But that's the end of this shit. Peace.